So hopefully you had success with the destructing tuples in Rust exercise. Let's go ahead and take a look at a solution together. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. So the first thing we want to do, and let me do this in a different block of code here, is we want to create a function. So we're going to say function user data, which is going to take the tuple x. So we're going to say x. And very similar, right? This is very similar to what we did here, but we're passing it in the parameter. We're going to have an integer, 32 bytes. We're going to have a Boolean. And we're going to have string. So we're going to use the and string, okay? And what are we going to do exactly? Then what we're going to do is, number 2, assign a tuple to distinct variables. So we want age for the integer, the Boolean is going to be active, and the string is going to be name. So what I could do here, and this is what I was trying to show you, let integer bool string, interesting way to destruct the tuple, would be let, and if you didn't figure this out but you still managed to get it, that's fine. But let the integer is going to be age, we're going to have active, and we're going to have a name. And we can set that to what? Well, we're saying that to the tuple. The tuple already has the values, so all we have to do is set it to x. Just like that. Just like that, okay? Now we want to write instructions in the function to print the age, active status, and name. So what I could do is I could say print ln. And remember, since we've now assigned the tuple info to the variable, we don't have to use the syntax, right? We can just set these up each distinctively to these variables. I can actually destructure this out. So I can say the age, this should all be, of course, in quotations. I'm going to say age, active, and name. And we're going to pass the arguments. Now we can just say age, active, and name, like that, because we destruct them out from x. All right? This is what number 2 is asking you to do. It's a little bit tricky. I chose not to show you how to destruct step by step before doing this, because I wanted to see if you pushed yourself and you used the compiler, how far you could get with this exercise. So for those of you who are more new to programming in general, hopefully this hint kind of helped you. Otherwise, this is something that you can become quite familiar with in programming. All right, so this is exercise solution part 1 here. You can say 1, but we're not done yet, right? So let's see what else. So number 3, write instructions in the function to print the age, active status, and the name. Oh, we did that, sorry. Number 4, in the main function, create a new tuple, user2, and set the user data so that the user is 30, active status is true, and his name is Jack. All right, so we're going to go into the main function, which is up here. A little bit of space so you can see. All right, exercise solution 2, like this. And we're going to say let user2, so tuple. And just like we wrote that tuple up there, right? So we want I32, we want a Boolean, and we want a string. Setting that to 30, true, and Jack, right? That's what it said. 30, the active status will be true, his name is Jack. Perfect. Okay, so now we have this tuple, and we have a function that can actually input a tuple and then set it up to the user. And this tuple takes multiple data, compound data from the user too. All right, so all we have to do now is the final part of the puzzle here, which is to invoke the user data, passing in user2 as the argument, and then check the console. So let's give that a shot. So we're going to say user underscore data, because this is our function, and we're going to pass in user2. And let's go ahead and run the code. Let's see what happens. Hit run, and would you look at that at the bottom? Take a look at the bottom. The very last thing here is our exercise solution, and we see here we have the age, 30, active, true, and name is Jack. So what is this? Well, this means that we've now passed in user data as a tuple into a function that we effectively can input user data and then print out what that information is. That's something. That is something. To go from nothing to something. So if you started off with zero knowledge of Rust, and here we are now, say that's not too shabby. And hopefully we're making good time in this course, because we are covering quite a lot at a very efficient and practical pace. So if this is confusing, take your time with it. Go back. If the destructing is a little bit confusing, remember, all we're doing here is we already have a tuple, information of the data, and then we destruct out of this tuple, since there's 3 of these different data types, each one individually. When we do that, now we can actually print each one individually as well, or access each one individually, I should say. And it's an interesting technique. We invoke the tuple. We learned also how to access tuple with dot notation, tuples with dot notation. And I would say this is a very good point in which you can just stop, take your time with it for whatever you're not sure, review and review till you feel good. And when you feel good, then I'll meet you in the next video where we will discuss more things to practice together. Okay, great work making it this far. I'll see you in the next lesson.